Real estate is a business of big goals, big deals, big dreams, and sometimes, and mostly, if we do all that, big pressures. But what if the secret to achieve those big milestones lies in those small wins, my friends? Those small wins we're experiencing every day, yet we forget to celebrate. Yes, we're talking about how those daily victories, no matter how small, are the building blocks to that long-term success in real estate. My friends, welcome back to Realty Chatter Daily, quick wins for realtors. This is the extended version where we are going to dive into something incredibly important, how daily victories drive real estate success. My friends, usually I'm here for 2 minutes. Today is going to be a little bit longer. We want you to see the benefit of celebrating those small victories along the way. It is important because we as realtors and as business owners and entrepreneurs, we set our big goal for the year, or maybe it's for the month, and that's all we focus on, which is great. However, it can be days or sometimes weeks before we achieve some of those goals. And if it's our yearly goal, we only get to celebrate that once a year. No. I'm the positive reinforcement guy. I like celebrating the small wins, which means we may not have a chance to celebrate something for an awful long time if we don't take the opportunity to celebrate those small wins. This could be something daily or something that happens every few days or something that you've not normally done, and you want to give yourself the grace and the freedom and the space to celebrate it. So that's what we're going to dive into today, and why it's so important that we celebrate these small goals. Why? Why is it important that we celebrate these things? Here's what we know through science, and I'm no scientist, but here's what we know through science. Our brains, when we achieve something big or small, our brains release what? They releases dopamine when we achieve a goal, which reinforces positive habits, builds motivation, and increases productivity, right? We all seen it. We post something on the Instagrams or the Facebooks, and we all get it. And then there's a bunch of people that like it or comment or give us that virtual high five, and it gives us that dopamine effect. Well, it's kind of similar, right? If we want to have a great business, we've got to celebrate those small wins along the way. I have a really good friend of mine that focuses on the big win and forgets sometimes to celebrate those small victories along the way. So it's important that we do that. Incredibly important. Now, how do we celebrate? I'm not talking about a steak dinner. Well, maybe I am. Maybe that is for you, a steak dinner every time you want to celebrate a small win or whatever it is. But it is incredibly important to celebrate it. And it could be something as simple as cleaning out your inbox every day, your emails. It could be something, some of us perhaps would get a little bit nervous or a lot of nervous making our phone calls, following up, door knocking, lead gen, whatever it is that you want to celebrate. Some of us get that nervousness. And when we achieve it, there's that little dopamine effect, right? We get a little bit excited. Take that moment, pause, whether it's 30 seconds, 60 seconds, celebrate that. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe it's something a little bit more. Maybe it's something physical that you did, and it's something at the gym, and you went to the gym 5 days this week, 5 days last week, and those are the celebrations that we are talking about, my friends. It's incredibly important. So here's something you've been following along, and if you know me, I love Phil M. Jones, the author. Great book, great author. And I love the question that he likes to ask when he's doing his speaking or in his books. What's one small success you can celebrate today that reminds you of your progress? I'll say that again. What's one small success that you can celebrate today that reminds you of your progress? And what's progress? Well, progress is simply knowing where you've come from and where you're going, right? That destination. It reminds you of your progress. So if you want to celebrate your lead gen in the morning because you know that 2 months ago, it was the hardest thing to do. And now it's a little bit easier. And every day it gets a little bit easier. Celebrate that, because that is part of your progress to achieving that big goal, whether it's your monthly goal or your yearly goal. Incredibly important. Phil M. Jones. If you don't know him, go look him up. Amazing speaker, amazing at the psychology of how we ask questions and why we ask questions. And maybe sometimes more importantly, when we ask questions. What's one small success you can celebrate today that reminds you of your progress? Incredibly important. Why do we need to celebrate this, my friends? Why? Building confidence through daily victories. It's as simple as that. Because as I said off the top, if we don't get to celebrate, if we're only waiting to achieve that one big goal at the end of the year, maybe it's a number of transactions, or it's something personal or physical, weight loss or fitness or whatever, and you're not allowing yourself to celebrate until you get to that, I think you're cutting yourself short. And in fact, it's going to be so much easier if you give yourself these little wins along the way. Incredibly important, because as we do that, as that dopamine effect works, as we get to celebrate these little victories, it reinforces some positive mindset. Absolutely important to allow ourselves to do that. And some of us, unfortunately, we've been brought up in a way that you can't celebrate unless you reach this goal. And sometimes, my friends, and we'll talk about this in another episode, sometimes that goal is not achievable because we're not doing the actions to achieve that goal. And then we're not allowing us to have some success or victories along the way. So now it becomes a spiraling down effect, right? So here's a little thought that I had. Some of us like to journal. I'm not a big journaler. Every now and then I'll go write some notes down. I got my notes app, and maybe I heard a great quote and I want to write it down. Some of you are journaling every single day. And some of us like to journal the negatives, the positives, whatever it is. But what if we just had some little running notes tab, however you like to do it, on whether it's on your phone or a little journal, like pen and paper, remember those things? And you had a little column called Win Journal. And you just wrote the date down. And today's win was I called 10 of my clients and asked for a referral. I connected with 5 of my clients, and I have 5 coffee meetings booked next week just to connect. Those are the wins I'm talking about. I went to the gym 5 times this week. Write down the week. Those are the wins I'm talking about. A win journal, just a running column of what that win was every day. And how about this? How about we don't wake up in the morning and finish it. It's something that we do maybe just before we go to bed. So when we go to bed, we're in that positive mindset. We're already in that positive mindset, because going to bed, I know our minds, for some are easy. Some people can lie down and fall asleep right away. I, on the other hand, that's when I get going. That's when I start dreaming about all the different vacation places I want to go to, things I want to do with my mountain bike, skiing, all that kind of stuff. Also business ideas. And sometimes we get into our finances and our mind just goes and wanders and wanders and wanders. But if we start with that win journal, just as we're going to bed, a part of our nightly routine, my friends, we are setting ourselves up for a great, successful day the following day. Take these things and write them down and remind ourselves, as Phil says, allow it to remind us of our progress. Excellent stuff. Okay. What does this do when we do that? Well, it builds momentum, right? We start thinking about all these small wins, these positive things in our lives. And it doesn't always have to be business. In fact, I would say that it doesn't necessarily have to be business at all. This is going to give us momentum, that momentum that we need. It's going to allow us to be breaking through some of our goals, achieve some milestones that perhaps we thought were way too far down the road, because now we have that momentum. And I know if you're doing great business planning or life planning, in fact, we have our big goal for the year. We should also have our monthly goals and weekly goals. because we can't reach our yearly goal if we don't have those, right? This is really, really important. Break it down, have some smaller steps. Reach out to 5 new leads and book a coffee with them. Follow up with some of your clients. Check in with some of the previous clients that you worked with. And I say previous because you haven't talked to them for 5 years. Because remember, if you're not talking to your database, you're not talking to your clients, somebody else is. Somebody else is. Here's another question from Phil. What small action can you take today that will contribute to a bigger success down the road? Same question, just worded a little bit differently, right? What small action can you take today that will contribute to a bigger success down the road? Okay. Celebrating wins, not just checking them off, because some of us can get into the routine of, yep, I did that. Good. Pat on the shoulder. Next. No, we need to celebrate these wins, the importance of celebrating these wins as opposed to checking them off. Because like I said, some of our routine might be 20 real estate conversations a day. In order to do that, I have to make 100 phone calls or knock on 150 doors or what have you. And then I'm just doing it so I can check it off. Well, let's do it with some purpose. Let's look at achieving these goals so we can celebrate these wins with purpose. How's that sound? So we're always told to do things with purpose, and sometimes we don't. We do things because it's on our to-do list. But if we get to do them with purpose, then if we just fine-tune that sentence a little bit, I'm going to celebrate this win with purpose. That goes back to our momentum, which is incredibly, incredibly important. How do we celebrate them? What are we doing? Well, it could be anything. It could be you're on the phones and you're doing this. Maybe you're doing some cold calling, some lead gen, paperwork, whatever it may be, whatever is going to be fulfilling to you. And that could be something as simple as, hey, allowing yourself a little bit of freedom to celebrate. And it could be a coffee on the way home from your favorite barista, or it could be, I reward myself by X. You fill in the blank. You know what excites you. Maybe you're going to allow yourself to take a Friday off. Things like that. That's what I'm talking about. And it could be something as simple as, hey, give your partner a high five. I don't know, but let me tell you something. It's important that you take this moment to celebrate and find out, do some exploratory, have some self-discovery, find out what motivates you so you can have this win. But remember this isn't just about checking boxes. And if you're like me, checking boxes is not satisfying one bit at all. Now, there's going to be that small group of people that like checking off boxes because when their to-do list is done, that's their win. Well, that's not me, but maybe that's not you. But sometimes you need more than just a pen stroke to celebrate a win. Take a moment, actually enjoy it. This is big stuff because it leads and builds that momentum for that big goal at the end of the year. But Gare, if I take a moment and celebrate a win, it's going to take me out of my routine. How do I do that? Listen, my friends, we've got to incorporate our celebrations. We got to incorporate our wins into our routine. Now, that I just had a thought. Now, yes, what if our win was part of our routine? And if I don't get my win, it's not in my routine. For some of you, that's going to be pretty powerful, right? This is important that we have our small wins and they become a consistent part of our daily routine. We got to track it, appreciate it, then it becomes a habit that keeps us focused, motivated, and productive. And most likely a better person to be around. Because it's like a smile. A smile is what? A smile is contagious. And people want to be around positively contagious people. So keep that in mind. So create a win or something that's going to excite you and make that part of your routine. Make that part of your routine every workday. And maybe you need to find an accountability partner or a colleague with whom you can regularly share these wins with. Maybe you're on a bigger team or you're in a partnership And at 11:33 every day, you're going to celebrate your win. And if you don't have one, you're going to celebrate theirs with them, which is going to motivate you to generate your win. My friends, this is big stuff. Because as I said off the top of the show, celebrating the wins is energizing to you. But maybe more importantly, it's energizing to those around you, because we attract like-minded people, and people want to be around fun people. 99% of people want to be around fun people. We all know those few people out there that always look at things negatively. And if you can't name one, maybe you are one. I don't know. But here's what I do know. People want to be around fun, like-minded people. And use this today to allow yourself, if you need that freedom, that space to celebrate those wins. But my friends, here's a few takeaways for you from this as we wrap up. It's important that we celebrate those small wins along the way, because as Phil says at the top of the show here, remember his question, what small success can you, I messed that up. Let me try this again. What's one small success you can celebrate today that reminds you of your progress? Because that'll move you forward. That'll remind you again of where you were and the work that you're putting in, to the work that you're doing right this moment, to the work that still needs to be done, so you can hit that goal, that huge progress down the road. So make small wins a habit by incorporating them into your daily routine. Celebrate each victory, however small, to reinforce the progress and motivation. And let me tell you, my friends, in real estate, it's easy to focus on big goals, but don't underestimate the power of small wins. These daily victories that fuel us, they keep us going and help us grow one step at a time. So, my friends, thanks for joining me. Remember, success in real estate is a journey built on small steps and daily victories. It's important to celebrate along the way. And if you haven't, my friends, subscribe to the podcast, reach out to me. I'd love for you to share some of your small wins in the comments, or send me a note. Gary, I celebrated this. I did this and I hadn't been able to do it for X amount of time, and I celebrated it today. I want to hear that. Please send me those great notes. I love saying that. And as always, stay motivated, keep laughing, keep thriving through real connections. This is Realty Chatter Daily, quick wins for realtors, where success is built on relationships.